Imagine standing at the top of a skyscraper, gazing down at the sprawling cityscape beneath you, and asking yourself a simple yet profound question: why do cities keep building higher and higher? The answer lies not in the clouds above, but in the economics that shape our urban landscape. Skyscrapers represent one of the most fascinating intersections of commerce, engineering, and human ambition. And understanding their economics reveals fundamental truths about how cities grow, how wealth accumulates, and how societies organize themselves vertically rather than horizontally across the earth. When we talk about skyscrapers from an economic perspective, we are really discussing a solution to one of the most pressing challenges facing modern cities: the scarcity of valuable land in prime urban locations. The value of land in downtown areas becomes astronomical, and developers must choose between spreading outward or reaching upward. Building vertically transforms expensive limited ground space into multiple revenue-generating floors stacked one upon another. Each additional level represents another opportunity to generate income, rent commercial office space, sell residential units, or lease retail establishments that benefit from high foot traffic. The decision to construct a skyscraper versus traditional low-rise buildings comes down to a fundamental economic calculation: the cost of construction divided by the total revenue potential of the completed building. In cities where land prices exceed thousands of dollars per square foot, this equation heavily favors vertical construction. The scarcity principle, first articulated by economists generations ago, explains that when something becomes rare and desirable, its value increases exponentially. Downtown real estate exemplifies this principle perfectly. The infrastructure requirements of skyscrapers drive enormous costs that developers must anticipate and budget for meticulously. Elevators alone represent a massive investment, with modern high-rises containing dozens of sophisticated elevator systems capable of moving thousands of people per day safely and efficiently. These are not simple machines but complex engineered systems with backup power, emergency protocols, and maintenance requirements that span decades. The foundation systems must be engineered to support millions of tons of weight, often requiring deep pilings that reach bedrock hundreds of feet below street level, or sophisticated floating foundations designed using cutting-edge structural engineering principles. Building codes and safety regulations add significant costs to skyscraper construction, yet they exist for critical reasons grounded in historical tragedies and structural failures. Fire suppression systems must be installed throughout the entire building, water pressure systems must reach the highest floors, and electrical systems must be redundant and fail-safe. Wind engineering requires that buildings sway slightly in extreme conditions, necessitating sophisticated dampening systems that cost millions of dollars but prevent catastrophic structural failure. These regulations represent accumulated knowledge from decades of building failures and tragic incidents that claimed thousands of lives. The financial returns from successful skyscraper development can be extraordinary, which explains the intense competition to secure prime development sites in major cities. Commercial office space in prestigious locations commands premium rents that allow building owners to recoup their massive initial investments and generate substantial profits over time. The Empire State Building, constructed during the Great Depression, took decades to become profitable, yet today generates hundreds of millions of dollars in annual revenue from office rentals, observation deck fees, and retail establishments. The building stands as a testament to the power of patient capital and the enduring value of prime real estate. Residential units in completed skyscrapers attract wealthy residents willing to pay premium prices for prestigious addresses, panoramic views, and convenient access to urban amenities. The most expensive residential real estate in the world invariably occupies the upper floors of supertall buildings in cities like New York, London, Hong Kong, and Singapore. A single penthouse apartment can sell for hundreds of millions of dollars, with some individual units generating more revenue than entire neighborhoods of traditional houses. This concentration of wealth in vertical form creates fascinating economic dynamics and raises important questions about urban inequality and access to prime urban space. The economic multiplier effects generated by major skyscraper construction extend far beyond the building itself and into the broader urban economy. Construction jobs employ thousands of workers across multiple specialties and skill levels, generating wages that get spent in local restaurants, retail shops, and service businesses. The completed building attracts businesses, talents, and investment to the surrounding neighborhood, often catalyzing broader urban revitalization and attracting additional development. Cities understand intuitively that major architectural projects serve as economic engines that generate activity, employment, and tax revenue for decades. Dubai provides perhaps the most aggressive case study of skyscraper-driven economic development in modern history. The Burj Khalifa, at over 2,700 feet tall, stands as the world's tallest building and required unprecedented engineering innovation to achieve. Dubai transformed itself from a small trading port into a global financial center, largely through vertical construction and real estate development. The city attracted investors from around the world, created hundreds of thousands of jobs, and established itself as a luxury destination. However, Dubai's rapid development also illustrates the risks of real estate bubbles, as property values soared to unsustainable levels before eventually correcting sharply during the 2008 financial crisis. New York City evolved organically over more than a century, developing some of the world's most iconic skyscrapers through intense competition between developers, architects, and real estate magnates. The vertical development of Manhattan created one of the world's most productive economic zones, concentrating finance, media, arts, and technology industries in a relatively small geographic area. The Empire State Building, Chrysler Building, and more recent developments like the One World Trade Center represent different eras of construction, architectural fashion, and economic circumstances, yet all contributed to establishing New York as a global economic powerhouse. The skyline itself became a recognizable brand that attracts tourists, businesses, and talent from around the world. Hong Kong represents perhaps the most extreme example of skyscraper-dependent urban development on Earth, with the city compressed into limited land area surrounded by water and mountains. The density of tall buildings creates a unique urban environment where skyscrapers literally touch one another, and the city must innovate constantly to manage infrastructure challenges. Real estate transactions drive Hong Kong's economy, and property ownership remains the primary avenue for wealth accumulation for residents and investors. The height restrictions imposed by aircraft operations at nearby airports create additional constraints that make available building space even more scarce and valuable. The post-pandemic world has disrupted traditional assumptions about office space in skyscrapers as millions of workers embrace remote work arrangements. Major office buildings in cities worldwide have seen declining occupancy rates and falling rental values as companies downsize their physical footprints. This economic disruption threatens the financial viability of office buildings designed decades ago when in-person work seemed permanent and inevitable. Some developers are converting unused office space into residential apartments, adaptive reuse that preserves the buildings while generating new revenue streams. This transformation illustrates how economic conditions reshape the utility and value of built structures. Sustainable building technologies represent an emerging economic frontier in skyscraper development, as architects and engineers incorporate solar panels, advanced insulation, water recycling systems, and other green technologies that reduce operating costs over time. These systems require higher initial capital investment, but deliver savings through reduced energy consumption and maintenance costs. As environmental regulations tighten and corporations face pressure to reduce carbon footprints, green skyscrapers command premium rental rates and attract tenants willing to pay more for sustainable workspaces. The economics increasingly favor environmental responsibility as both a moral imperative and a sound financial investment. The future of skyscrapers likely involves greater emphasis on mixed-use development, where office, residential, hotel, and retail spaces coexist within single buildings or interconnected complexes. This diversity creates economic resilience by ensuring that economic downturns affecting one sector do not destroy the viability of the entire structure. Smart building technologies that optimize energy use, monitor structural health, and anticipate maintenance needs promise to reduce operating costs and extend useful building lifespans. Artificial intelligence and automation may transform how these buildings operate, requiring fewer human workers while improving efficiency and safety. The economics of skyscrapers ultimately reflects deeper truths about human nature, ambition, and the organization of complex societies. We build tall not merely for practical reasons of land efficiency, but because vertical architecture symbolizes progress, innovation, and the conquest of natural constraints. Every skyscraper represents millions of dollars in concentrated capital, thousands of hours of human labor, and collective belief in future prosperity. When skyscrapers fail economically or stand empty, they become monuments to overconfidence and miscalculation. When they thrive, they become engines of wealth creation that can sustain cities and generate prosperity for generations. As you contemplate the skylines of major cities worldwide, recognize that you are gazing upon crystallized economic decisions, frozen moments of human ambition and capital allocation. Each building tells a story of market conditions, technological capabilities, regulatory frameworks, and entrepreneurial vision. The tallest buildings in the world often rise in places where land is scarcest, capital is most abundant, and regulatory constraints are most lenient. Understanding this relationship between economics and architecture transforms how you see cities and invites deeper reflection on how humans organize space, concentrate resources, and build for the future. Subscribe to this channel to explore more about the economic forces that shape our world and share your thoughts about the future of urban development in the comments below.